So, hello, welcome to my astrology channel. I'm going to talk about Venus in Cancer. I know this video has been long overdue. So let me just get into it. Short reminder. So, Venus stands for things that you love, your hobbies, your aesthetics, your natural passions, your natural interests, what you do for fun. It also rules what you find pleasurable, and I don't know, everything to do with enjoyment basically, because Venus is ruled by Venus rules Taurus, so it has everything to do with hedonism, the senses, the arts, etc., etc. Let me get into it. So Venus in Cancer means that you are very artistic. It definitely shows a lot of artistic sensitivity, sensibility, or whatever you want to call it, an inclination for arts. It shows a rich imagination. You love things to do with, storytelling, with fantasies. Um, these people will definitely be, I would say, the kinds who enjoy Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, or I don't know, things like, or actually anything to do with history as well, or at least inspired by history. They will probably like to decorate their homes with antiques, I don't know, things that, hold the air of a bygone era or something. Actually, interior decoration can also be something that they definitely enjoy because, Cancer ruled by the moon is ruled by the moon, which has to do with the home base and the mother, and, everything to do with traditional feminine activities like cooking, cleaning, anything to do with homemaking, including interior decoration. Another thing that I can say is when it comes to, um, when it comes to aesthetic sensitivity, these people, actually, the men who have Venus in Cancer, they will like women that are very much the Cancer archetype. So they will like women who are artistic and sensitive and typical feminine girly girls, at least on the outside. They will really like women who are inclined to be good homemakers, who enjoy cooking and enjoy taking care of kids, who are motherly and nurturing, etc. So traditionally feminine women. Also, men who have Venus in Cancer can also be the kind of men who really would like a woman to be kind of a stay-at-home mother or a full-time wife, ideally, if, they can support the wives. But you know what I mean? I think most men with this placement would definitely find, traditional roles to be ideal for them. They would like, traditional feminine women, unless in their charts they have Venus in aspect with Mars or the Sun or Jupiter. Because actually not so much Jupiter, but definitely with Mars, because that would mean that they tend to like more aggressive women, etc., etc. Also, it depends on other planetary aspects as well. So another thing that I can say is women with this placement, obviously, they will tend to really embody the Venus in Cancer energy. So they will very much, when it comes to attracting a partner, they will very much take on this role of the traditional feminine woman, dreamy and, feminine, soft-spoken, polite, and also, maybe we'll try to cook to impress a husband, a potential husband partner. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, as far as, let me think. Oh, another thing that I can say is actually Moon is rules everything to do with inconstancy, moodiness, changeability. So people who have Venus in Cancer, they can tend to go through a lot of mood changes, and particularly when it comes to their romantic relationships, because Venus rules romantic relationships, they might go through a lot of partners, and it's not necessarily because I don't know, that they're shallow or anything like that. It's simply that things happen and they just happen to they have to change, for some reason. Either not necessarily because they ended the relationship, but relationships will just end maybe. In any case, any area that Cancer shows up in, or the Moon shows up in, shows an area of life where there tend to be a lot of changes and instability. Not forever. Eventually, they do settle down, but it does have to do with a lot of changes. So, okay, examples of people who have Venus in Cancer. George W. Bush, Venus conjunct ascendant in Cancer. This is actually really fitting for a head of state, because Cancer also rules things to do with the homeland, and it rules things to do with patriotism and, just being, ascendant in Cancer would definitely show up in the chart of somebody that looks like a good representative of their homeland. Now, I know what you're thinking. That may not be the best example, but, when he was elected, the people did elect him because he projected a certain image and because he was charismatic, as Venus conjunct ascendant would show. So he's definitely a charismatic Cancer ascendant. Another example, Venus in Cancer in the 12th house, Madonna. Okay, now definitely a very artistic Venus here. 12th house actually in Vedic astrology rules bed pleasures and hidden affairs, which is really funny because Madonna has been known to have a long string of love affairs, and would definitely, that would definitely be explained by Venus in Cancer in the 12th house. Lots of secret affairs, there also goes hand in hand with Venus in Cancer tending to be moody and changeable, but also very artistic and very imaginative. Michael Jackson, Venus conjunct Mercury in the 6th house. Now, the 6th house actually shows daily routines and workplace environment to some extent. It also shows actually enemies, but okay, won't get into that. But Venus conjunct Mercury in the 6th house would definitely, show somebody who works in an artistic field, because their everyday activities have to do with, Venus, with singing, definitely. Because Venus rules singing in particular. It also rules other art forms, but especially singing. Tom Cruise, conjunct Moon, Venus conjunct Moon, conjunct Rahu, or North Node, as it's called, in the 10th house. This is really funny, because this particular conjunction here, in the 10th house, conjunct the midheaven, would actually show a typical womanizer. But in his house, this multiple conjunction is also opposite Saturn in the 4th house. So thank God for that Saturn, because it stabilizes the energy. If it would have been just Venus conjunct Moon conjunct Rahu in the midheaven, he could have had, he already, I think, to some extent has had somewhat notorious love affairs, but I think it would have been completely out of control if you didn't have the stabilizing effect of Saturn there aspecting this cluster. Jennifer Lawrence, another artist, Venus conjunct Jupiter in the 9th house, if her birth chart is correct. So, Venus conjunct Jupiter would definitely show a lot, definitely shows, boosting of Venus qualities, because Jupiter expands everything that it touches, in a really positive sense. And it's also, Venus conjunct Jupiter is definitely an aspect that creates wealth and great luck. So, fitting. Whitney Houston, Venus conjunct Sun in the 6th house, again, another person whose day-to-day activities had to do with being creative and being artistic and singing, as shown by Venus and Sun being placed in her 6th house. Also, Nicole Kidman, Venus conjunct Jupiter, conjunct midheaven in the 10th house. Again, perfect for an actor. Also singer, actually, because Nicole Kidman is actually a really good singer as well. Yeah, again, Venus conjunct Jupiter, very good placement for an artist in the 10th house, which is the 10th house, again, shows the work environment, and it also shows reputation, and she is a definitely, blessed in terms of fame and reputation. Again, a small list of people who have ascendant in Cancer, because especially men with Venus in Cancer will tend to find these kinds of women attractive. But women who have Venus in Cancer as well will tend to find these women beautiful, maybe not physically attractive, but they will see them as an ideal of beauty, because Venus is, again, the aesthetic ideal of a person. So whenever Venus is conjunct another person's ascendant, it means that they see the ascendant person as their physical ideal, or their aesthetic, their beauty ideal. So classic examples of people with Cancer ascendant: Marilyn Monroe and Angelina Jolie. Okay, already right off the bat, two of the most beautiful women in history, which does make sense because Cancer ascendant actually is, hyper feminine sort of energy. And it's also not an accident that a lot of Cancer ascendant people also tend to be light-skinned and have light eyes and blonde hair, because this is what the moon influence tends to give. It gives this kind of, this dreamy, feminine sort of appearance, super girly and almost like, fairy level kind of pretty. Okay. Examples of, also Reese Witherspoon, which I thought was interesting. She also happens to be a blonde, Cancer ascendant. She has Cancer ascendant conjunct Saturn, which is so fitting because her face is actually a little bit, what's a nice way to call it? I don't know, it's a bit bony, and this is so fitting for Saturn, because Saturn it actually gives defined bone structure and, somewhat harsh features traditionally, but here she has, Cancer ascendant conjunct Saturn, so she has, a pretty face, but, with strong features, really sharp, well-defined features, while still maintaining, the typical kind of dreamy blue eyes and the blonde hair, which are typical for Cancer ascendant. Also, men with Cancer ascendant: Johnny Depp and Vincent Cassel. Vincent Cassel, French actor who has ascendant conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. Yeah, here they are different physically. Johnny Depp is more on the dark side. Obviously, it doesn't mean that everybody who has ascendant in Cancer is going to be light skin and blue eyes or something. It also depends on genetics, but one of the things that can be said is, these are kinds of ascendants which will bring out the lighter genes of the gene pool. If you have Cancer ascendant and you have one parent with blue eyes and the other with brown eyes, let's say, you're a little bit more likely to inherit the blue eyes, So that's what I mean by, Cancer ascendant tends to give lighter features. So, yeah, this is my interpretation, and thank you for watching, and please leave comments and subscribe. Thank you.